Let's be honest, if you're watching this video, there's a good chance gambling has already taken more from you than you ever planned to give it. Maybe it just started as entertainment, maybe it was something you did while watching sports, going to the casino with your buddies, or trying to make a little extra money on the side. But somewhere along the way, it stopped being something you did for fun. Now you're gambling because you feel like you have to. You need to win back the money you've already lost. You need to pay off the debt. You need to prove to yourself that all the time, money, energy that you've put into gambling wasn't completely wasted. But here's the reality. The longer you gamble to fix the damage caused by gambling, the more damage you're going to create. And I get it. Maybe you genuinely believe that you're close. Maybe you've had a few good days recently. Maybe you found a new strategy, changed your betting types, or promised yourself that this time you're going to be more disciplined. It might feel like you're one winning streak away from getting everything back under control. But let me explain why that mindset keeps so many people trapped and why the win you're waiting for probably isn't going to fix anything. And before anything else, you need to understand this. I'm in recovery from gambling addiction myself, and my name's Joe. My last bet was April 16th, 2024. I make videos like this because I spent years believing gambling eventually was going to solve the problems that, of course, gambling created. It never did. If you want to avoid making the same mistakes that I did, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any videos I put out about gambling addiction and recovery. Let's start with the biggest lie most gamblers tell themselves. I just need to get back to even. And I know that honestly sounds reasonable. You're not asking to become a millionaire. You're not trying to hit some massive jackpot. You just want the money back that you've already lost, and then you'll stop. You'll pay off your debt, you'll fix your bank account, you'll catch up on your bills, you'll put the money back before anybody realizes it's missing. But let's be real here. How many times have you already gotten some of that money back, and what did you do with it? Did you actually walk away, or did you convince yourself that you were finally on a run and keep gambling? That's the first hard truth. Getting back to even usually isn't enough, because when you're losing, you tell yourself you'll quit when you recover the money. But when you start winning, your thinking changes. Now you have a little bit of momentum. Now your strategy's working. Now you finally understand what you were doing wrong before. So instead of stopping, you just move the goalposts. Maybe you were down $10,000 and got back to only being down $2,000. And instead of being relieved that you recovered most of the money, you become frustrated that you're still down at all, so you keep going. And then you lose another bet and suddenly you're down $4,000 again. And now you're chasing that $2,000 you had already recovered. The finish line keeps moving because gambling addiction doesn't allow you to feel satisfied. When you're losing, you need relief. When you're winning, you want more. Either way, the answer becomes another bet. That's why a big win usually doesn't solve a gambling problem, it only strengthens it. Think about the biggest win you've ever had. What happened afterwards? Did you permanently change your financial life? Did you put the money away, stop gambling, and never go back? Or did that win make you believe you could do it again? Now, for many problem gamblers, a big win doesn't feel like luck, it actually feels like proof. And this proof that they're capable of winning, or that their system works, or all those previous losses were just a part of the process. I know at least that's what happened for me. The more money I won, the more confident I became, and the more confident I became, the more money I was willing to risk. And eventually, the bets that once would have terrified me started to feel completely normal. A win didn't make me want to stop, it just made me want to bet more. And when I lost the money back, I didn't view it as a warning, I viewed it just as like this temporary setback. I believed I had already proven that I could win, so naturally I believed I could do it again and again. And that belief kept me gambling far longer than I ever should have. Another tough pill to swallow is that you probably aren't gambling for money anymore. You might think that you are. You might tell yourself you're gambling to pay off debt, build savings, quit your job, create this better life. But if money truly were the only goal, you would protect it when you won it. You wouldn't immediately risk it again. And at some point, gambling becomes less about making money and more about how gambling makes you feel. There's this rush and excitement before a game starts and when your bet is winning, and then you have this temporary relief when you recover from a loss and you get this escape from whatever else is happening in your life. And then there's the exact opposite feeling. The panic when you're losing, the anger when a bet doesn't go your way, the desperation to deposit more money and fix what just happened. Those emotional highs and lows just become the cycle over and over. And you're not just chasing money. You're chasing relief from the feelings that gambling actually created, and that's how gambling actually traps you. It creates the problem and then convinces you that gambling is the only possible solution. You lose money, so you gamble to win it back. You feel stressed about the losses, so you gamble to distract yourself from that stress. You feel ashamed about how much time you've wasted, so you keep gambling because quitting would force you to admit the time is gone. But continuing doesn't recover any of it. It only gives gambling more time to take from you. And speaking of time, think about how much of your life gambling has already consumed. Not just the hours when you were actively placing bets, think about the hours spent researching games, checking scores, watching lines move, transferring money, calculating wins and losses, and trying to figure out how you were going to get more money to gamble. Think about how often you are physically present with other people, but mentally completely checked out somewhere else. You might have been at dinner, at work, spending time with your family, sitting with your friends, but your attention was on a game or a bet or the money you had riding on the outcome. That time doesn't come back after a win. A sportsbook doesn't return the birthdays, dinners, weekends, and conversations you missed because you were staring at your phone. And this is where gambling starts taking things that are much harder to replace than money. It starts taking your peace of mind, your ability to be present, your trust in yourself, your relationships with the people around you. Gambling forces you to live two different lives. There's the version of you that everyone else sees, and then there's the version checking bank accounts, hiding transactions, borrowing money, deleting messages, and trying to make sure nobody discovers how bad things have become. The more you hide, the more isolated you become. And the more isolated you become, the easier it is to keep gambling because nobody around you knows enough to stop you. That secrecy is not protecting you, it's protecting the gambling problem. And let's get real for a second. If gambling was actually improving your life, would you need to hide it? Would you lie about how much you've lost? Would you minimize how often you gamble? Would you get defensive when someone asks you about it? Would you constantly promise yourself that tomorrow will be different? You already know the answer. People don't usually hide the things that are making their lives better. They hide the things that they're afraid to confront. And maybe you're thinking that your situation is different. Maybe you really do have the knowledge, discipline, or strategy to turn things around, but ask yourself this honestly. How long have you been telling yourself that? How many new systems have you created? How many deposit limits have you broken? How many times have you said that this was the last bet, last deposit, or last time you're going to chase? Like at some point, you have to stop judging gambling by what you believe might happen and start judging it by what has already happened. Look at the actual evidence. Is your financial situation better because of gambling? Are your relationships stronger? Are you happier? Are you more present? Do you feel free, or do you feel like your entire life depends on the outcome of the next bet? Here's the truth. You don't need one more win. You just need to stop the cycle. The money you've lost might be gone. The time you've spent gambling might be gone. There may be consequences you still have to face, but continuing to gamble will not undo any of that. It's only going to put more money, more time, and more of your future at risk. Stopping doesn't mean you failed. Stopping means you finally accepted that gambling was never going to give you what you were looking for. Because gambling isn't freedom. It keeps you chained to the next game or deposit or win or the promise that everything will be different tomorrow. Real freedom is not needing to check the score. It's not having to hide your bank account. It's being able to spend time with the people you care about without thinking about the money you have riding on a game. It's waking up and knowing that whatever happens today, gambling isn't going to make your life worse. So truly ask yourself this. How much more are you willing to lose while waiting for gambling to finally save you? How many more bets will it take before you accept that the next one probably won't be any different? You don't need to win your way out. You need to stop digging, ask for help, start rebuilding your life without gambling.